Hey everybody, I am John Barker and welcome back to another episode of Here to Record Show and Tell. This is the show all about the gear you need for live production and live streaming. So today we're going to take a look at a slightly odd device. This is the AVerMedia Live Gamer Portable. Now why would you need something like this? Well, let's say you're recording a conference or a meetup and you want to capture a clean feed of the presenter's laptop. What you can do with this device is come in via HDMI and record onto an SD card that is within the device, or you can plug it into a computer and record straight onto your laptop, and that will let you get a really clean feed of the presenter's presentation or live demo or whatever they may do. But first, let's just take a look around the device. So at the front here, we have a nice big button, and this button is the record button and stop button if you're recording to SD card. So on the side here, you have a nice slot for an SD card, and it just clips nicely in there. And going a little further, you have a little toggle switch here. Now this lets you go to SD card mode or computer mode. So what you want to make sure is you select the mode that you plan to use for your recording. And then going a little further on the device, you can see here we have a USB port that is for connection to the computer and also to power this unit. Further around, we have an audio input and audio output, as well as a HDMI input, HDMI output, and AV in. They also give you a nice little AV cable, which lets you do some other connections, but really I use it for these HDMI connections. So let's just talk about the different ways that you can record. So I have a cable here, a HDMI cable, and that's coming from the overhead camera up above me. So what I can do is I can plug it into the HDMI input right here. And first of all, I want to set it to SD card mode. So I can see here, SD card mode is selected. And finally, I'll just grab a USB cable and I'll plug in the device. So I'm plugging it into the computer for power, but you can also just plug it into a standard phone charger into the wall, and that will also keep it turned on. Right now it's just running through a little startup process. And whenever it stops blinking around like that, yeah, there we go. Now we know we're ready to record. Now I'm going to just take out the HDMI cable, just so I can show you what's wrong if you don't have something plugged in, what happens. So, like I said, the button, the big button, it starts and stops. So with nothing plugged in, if I press the button, for a second it will pulse, and then it goes to this red and blue blinking sequence. That just tells you something is wrong. It doesn't tell you what's wrong. Sometimes you can have your source plugged in, but the SD card isn't plugged in, or it's in the wrong format. So this pretty much just means you've done something wrong. So let's stop that. And it goes back to solid red. And then I can plug in the HDMI again. And let's try it one more time. So now that the HDMI is plugged in, I should be able to press it, and it pulses. And there you go. I'm just going to cover up the light, but you can see, yeah, it's pulsing. So that's how you know that it's recording. And I find that actually really good feedback. Whenever I use this device, it tends to be on the other side of the room. I'm at the back of the room with a camera, and it's the front of the room beside the presenter's laptop. But at a glance, I can just about see if it's pulsing or if it's blinking. So I think that's really good feedback to see if the device is working well. So let's go ahead and stop that. And it just blinks for a second, and then it stops pulsing, and that's how you know that you're done recording. And I can just take out my SD card, head over to the computer, and I can see what the footage looks like. So if I put it in my SD card and I head to the computer, so here I can see that the screen's SD card has just popped up, and here is the file itself that I just recorded. It wraps it in this transport stream. I tend to reconvert that myself before I use them, but I can see that it plays back fine. It's a little bit slow, but there we go. And it looks a little choppy, but I think that's just based on the setup right now. But it comes in really clean, really good quality. You can mess with some settings and up or down the quality if you want, but I think that looks pretty good. So that's how you record straight to the SD card, and it's really nice for a backup of the screens or a proper recording of the screens. I tend to use this at a conference for a final backup, just in case my live edit, something goes wrong. So I use this as a nice little backup recording of the presenter's laptop or whatever it may be. But let's just take a look at how to not use the SD card method. So what I'll do is I'll just go in here. So if you can see here, I just flick that switch over to the computer side, and then I'll just pop into my computer again and open up Rec Central or Record Central, however you want to say it. And I found this application, let's be honest, to be extremely flaky. If I was to unplug the USB device right now, the computer would, or the app would seize up. So that's definitely something to be aware of. You think that plugging it in via USB means that you'll definitely get it to work every time. But it can just be a little bit flaky sometimes. So if once you've got it all plugged in, just leave it plugged in and it'll work fine. So back over at the computer here, you can see the device is working great. That overhead shot is coming in. It's got a slight delay, but you know, that's expected. And I can set up some of this, change some of the settings here. I can choose a device, HDMI in. So if I click through these settings here, it goes through some other options. You have HDMI in, or you have component in. That comes in via the AV cable I mentioned earlier. I'll stick back to HDMI. And then you can change the audio settings as well. It just takes a few seconds for the camera to find itself again. There we go. And what you can do is you can take some snapshots. You can choose where you want the files to be saved at. And I think I will just choose, reset that to perhaps desktop for now. Select that. There we go. And finally, I can go to record. So here I can see, based on how much disk space I have on my computer, I could record for 1 hour and 32 minutes at this compression rate. Let's just give it a little go and record for a few seconds. And what you can see here back on the device again is you can see that that pulsing light is back on. So just like it did for the SD card, you have nice visual feedback about whether or not you're recording. So I think that's long enough. I'll just hit stop on that. And what's nice about the recording it via the computer is that it throws up an MP4 file. So here is that recording itself coming straight out of the device. Again, it may look a little bit choppy on this preview, but that's just because my computer's just doing some other stuff in the background. And that's pretty much how you record. There's also some preferences in here, which is pretty nice. You can choose a prefix on the file. You can also choose the location in here. Some of the capture settings will let you change what video source you have, what video settings you have. I use MP4, but you can also use that transport stream. You got resolution, you've got bit rates for audios and frame rates and all that good stuff. And you also can do a loop recording if you want. You can do some adjustments to the videos as well. You also have the option to let some sound input from an external source. So what you could do is record sound even as a separate MP3 file, just so you can have a scratch track on this recording. And then PC free mode, that lets you change some of the settings that you saw earlier whenever we changed or when we recorded to SD card. So I can change that back to 1080p, and there I can see about 90 megabits per minute is what it's going to record at if I choose the 12, or I can up or down that quality. And that is pretty much all the settings you have. So in terms of the pros and of the cons in this device, things that I really like about it is that it's really small and really portable. And I love that it only really has HDMI in and out. Those are the main connectors that I would use on a device like this. Unlike the Intensity Shuttle, which I took a look at last week, this one really only has what I need. Intensity Shuttle has much more options, which is great if you need them, but for me, this is all I need. I also really like the fact that you can record to SD card. If you don't want to be stuck beside this device all the time, if you want to just plug it in somewhere across the room and let it run for a few hours, you can be sure that it'll keep going. Well, hopefully it'll keep going. Which brings me to the cons, is that there's not really good feedback. I know I said I like that pulsing light, which is nice to see that it's recording. and it's also a blinking light to say it's not working, but what it lacks is probably some sort of display to say why it's not working, or else some sort of light sequence to tell you what is wrong with it. You're kind of out of luck if it's conference time, someone's about to start talking, you press the button and it starts blinking. It's kind of difficult to know exactly why it's not working. Is the video source not right? Is it not all plugged in right? Is the SD card not formatted right? So in that way, you're kind of blind to know exactly what the problem is. So I don't know, a little display or some sort of other light or a different device. Of course, that's another option. Just to give you more feedback about exactly what's going wrong with the device. The light is great to have, so it's also a pro, but a slight con, I guess, as well. Just it's hard to know exactly what the problem is. And that old classic issue of HDCP. Again, like all these devices, this will not let you input copy protected material. You're gonna have to find a way around that if you want to record something that is copy protected. Even if you're doing something completely legitimate, legal, recording someone's presentation or whatever it may be, you will have to find a way around it if it's HDCP'd. It's just going to be one of those things you're going to have to figure a way around or do it a different way. So that just leaves one of the best things about this device, which is the price. You can get this for about £100, about $125 on Amazon or something like that. So for that cost, it's such a good investment, I think. It's worked really well for me. I can put that 16 gigabyte SD card in there and just let it run for most of the day for a conference. It gives me a good quality backup of all the presentations and all the slides. Or I can plug it into the laptop like you saw and get even better quality version straight into the laptop in MP4, ready to edit. So in that case, it's really great for that kind of stuff. It's got a good price, and I would definitely recommend picking it up if it's something that you might need. So that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We got lots more episodes to watch in our playlist, and don't forget to subscribe so you can see the next episode when it comes out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.